Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Godly Place story for today at St. John the Baptist Dixie Anglican Church in Mississauga, Ontario. My name is Janice Crutchman, and I just want to say, wherever you are and whenever it is that you are watching this, I'm so glad you could join our circle today. It's good to have you with us. Well, today's story is a big one, as you'll see in a moment. So let's get ready and let's begin as we always do. There was once someone who said such amazing things and who did such wonderful things that people began to follow him. And one day they just had to ask, "Who are you?" And he said, "I am the light." But the light couldn't stay in just that time, in just that place, for just those people. So the light changed. The light changed so it could be in all times, in all places, and for all people. Where you are today and where I am today, that same light is still with us. And now we're ready for today's story. What is the biggest gift, the biggest present that you have ever received? Sometimes gifts are so big that you can't see them. They're just so big, they're everywhere and they're hard to notice. And sometimes to really see them, you have to go back to the beginning, or maybe a bit before the beginning. In the beginning, there was nothing, except maybe a giant smile. But there was no one there to see it. Then on the first day, God gave us the gift of light and separated the light from the darkness. I don't mean just the light from a candle or a flashlight or a store window, but all the light that is light, all the light that light comes from. This is my cat Simon. He's not part of the story, but he really likes his Godly Place stories, so he'll be joining us today. When God saw the gift of light, God said, "This is good." And that was the first day. On the second day, God gave us the gift of water. Not just the water in a single river or from a tap or in a glass, but all the water that water comes from. This is the firmament. It separates the waters below from the waters above. When God saw the water and the firmament separating the water above and the water below, God said, "This is good." And that was the second day. On the third day, God gave us the gift of day and night, and a way to count our days and to tell time. This is the sun that helps us see in the day. This is the moon and the stars that light the night. When God saw the gift of day and night and a way of keeping track of time, God said, God said, "This is good." And that was the third day. On the fourth day, God gave us the gift of dry land and separated the water from the dry land. He gave us the gift of all the green and growing things. When God saw the dry land and the green and growing things, God said, "This is good." And that was the fourth day. On the fifth day, God gave us the gift of the creatures that fly in the air not just the birds, but all the creatures that fly, and the gift of the creatures that swim in the water, not just the fish, but all the creatures that swim in the water. When God saw the creatures that fly and the creatures that swim, God said, "This is good." And that was the 5th day. On the 6th day, God gave us the gift of the creatures that walk with 2 legs and the creatures that walk with many legs. This was also the day that God put God's own image in us. When God saw the creatures with 2 legs and the creatures that walk with many legs, and the gifts of all the other days, God said, "This is very good." And that was the 6th day. On the 7th day, God rested and gave us the gift of rest. There's not much in this picture, because I don't know where you go to rest and remember the gifts of all the other days. It might be a relaxing armchair, it might be a walk to a park, it might be a trip to church. Wherever you go, that's where you go to remember the gifts of all the other days. Everyone remembers it differently, and what I do know is that Jewish people, because the day is so special, Jewish people sometimes mark the day with 2 candles, and Christian people sometimes mark the day with a cross. So I wonder which day is most meaningful to you. Was it the 1st day with light and dark? Was it the 2nd day with the waters above and below and the firmament to separate them? Was it the 3rd day with day and night and a way of keeping time, the lights that shone in each? Was it the 4th day with the dry land and the green and growing things? Was it the 5th day with the creatures that fly in the air and the creatures that swim in the water? Was it the 6th day, the creatures that walk on 2 legs and the creatures that walk on many legs, when God put God's own image in us? Or was it the 7th day, when God gave us a chance to rest and remember the gifts of all the other days? Or was it the time before that? The time before there was anything? I wonder how you might respond to this story later in the day. Maybe one of the days that stood out to you maybe was the day with the light, the day and the night. Maybe you could research some of the constellations and go outside in the evening before you go to bed and identify one of the constellations in the night sky. Maybe if you draw or paint, you might want to draw or paint one of the creatures that fly or one of the creatures that swim. Maybe if you prefer using clay and sculpting things, you could sculpt a creature with many legs or a creature that walks on 2 legs. Or maybe if you use words more creatively, you could write a poem about light or about dark. Maybe that's your gift, to use words. Or maybe you want to recreate all these cards and tell the story yourself at home. You could do that. You could use cards or paper, and you could draw or paint or make a collage showing what happened on each of the days. If you want to do that, or if you want to read the story again, it is in the Bible. It's easy to find, probably one of the easiest books to find, one of the easiest stories to find in the Bible. It is at the beginning of a book called Genesis. And Genesis means the beginning. And this story is at the beginning of that book. So the first book in the Bible, the first chapter of that book, that's where this story starts. And it goes to just after the second chapter starts. So if you have a Bible at home, look at the very beginning of it, at the very Genesis or beginning of it, and that's where this story is. You can read it again. You might also have a Bible picture book, a Bible picture book or a Bible story book at home. It might be in there too, and you can read it again. However you respond, if you're willing to share your pictures or your poems, I'd like to see them. I know sometimes when we respond, it's something that has to be very private. It's something we don't want to share. And that's okay. If that's what you want to do, you keep it to yourself. If you want to show me, if it's something you want to share, I'd love to see pictures of it. I'd love to hear your poems. So do, if you wish, send them into the church office, and I'd like to take a look at them. Or show them to me next time we can meet in person, if we're able to do that. Well, until then, I hope that you enjoyed today's story. I hope that you have some interesting time responding to today's story, and I hope to see you again next time. Bye for now, everyone.